Birkenstock just released some boots, which I was really excited for because I've cut apart a pair of the Birkenstock sandals, and I was kind of a fan of them, but when I got these in my hand, they feel really, really cheap, especially for $220. But let's not jump to conclusions before we cut it in half. I've got a little bit of a coffee issue because I'm too lazy to brew my own coffee every single morning, so I just end up going to the local corner gas station to buy their lukewarm, overly burnt coffee that's like $4 a cup. That's why I wanted to tell you about Cometeer, and thanks to them for sponsoring this video. Cometeer isn't like any other coffee because Cometeer is a barista quality coffee brewed better through science and flash frozen to lock in flavor and freshness with the first 100% recyclable capsules. They're like little aluminum capsules. They're kind of cool. And Cometeer partners with the best regional specialty coffee roasters, and they grind and brew to perfection, then immediately flash freeze the coffee to lock in that flavor. And all you have to do is add 8 ounces of hot water or over cold water for an iced coffee, or milk for a latte like I like to do. And the nice thing is it comes right to my door or the shop, frozen in recyclable packaging, so you don't have to go to the coffee shop every morning or the corner gas station like I do every morning and get the disgusting coffee. And Cometeer has slowly become the thing. Every time I wake up in the morning, I think like, oh, can't wait to get to the shop and get some coffee, because it is really good coffee, and it saves me time and money because it's so fast to brew. That's pretty good. Much better than the gas station. So for a limited time, Cometeer has a special offer for this channel. Right now you get $20 off your first purchase by using the link in the description. That's 10 capsules for free and free shipping like always. So thanks again to Cometeer for sponsoring this video. Now let's go over the boot information. So the brand is Birkenstock, the style is Jackson. The color is dark brown. They weigh 1 pound 7 ounces. They retail for $220 and they're made in Portugal. Now let's go over the information that we can gather about this boot before we cut it in half, starting with the leather. So this leather is a water repellent oiled nubuck, and it's a chrome tanned leather. On their site, they say it has a gently buffed surface with no grain. Usually the term grain when you're talking about leather is that top layer of leather, that's that finely packed fiber structure that gives leather its smooth look, its durability, and it's the most expensive part of the cross section of leather. So I don't really know what they mean by there's no grain in this boot. They also go on to say it's very sensitive to moisture, which is odd for a self-described water repellent leather. But I'll try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe a temp wrote the product description, I don't know, but it's just kind of all over the place. As for the actual quality of the leather, it's a really spongy leather. You know, it doesn't feel like a high quality leather. It doesn't have that firmness and that density that you associate with a higher quality leather. And it feels really thin, but it's actually 2 millimeters thick. Next to the lining, so this, I believe, is a pigskin lining. And usually you can tell it's pigskin because the follicle pores are a lot more spread out than cow leather. But pigskin is nice because it's allegedly stronger than cow leather at this thickness, like the thinner thicknesses. Another good thing about this lining is the counter cover that's right at the heel is real leather rather than a cheap fabric, because we've all had a pair of boots or shoes that you wear through the heel because it's fabric. So there might be some hope for these boots. Then to the insole, which this is the coolest part about this boot. If I take this out, maybe. So this insole is built just like Birkenstock's world-renowned sandals that we've cut apart before. I'll put a link to that in the description. It's a removable cork insole with leather topping it, with the same burlap reinforcement on the bottom and the same contouring and arch support that people love Birkenstocks for. And the thing that's really exciting about these is that even if these boots are terrible, you can buy these insoles separately and put them in your own pair of boots to get that extra arch support, and that way the cork compresses to give you that custom footprint that makes boots really comfortable. But the only problem is these are $60 to $80, which is so crazy. Then to the construction of this boot, and this might be the make or break aspect of this boot, but they don't actually say how this boot is built on their site. But I'm leaning towards it being a cemented construction rather than the Goodyear welted construction that it looks like, because the stitching is so close to the upper, and at some points it's almost underneath the upper. That's almost impossible to do with a Goodyear welted boot because that stitch is sewn after everything's attached. But we'll see when we get it cut in half, maybe I'm wrong. Then to the outsole. So this is a thermoplastic rubber outsole, and it's a bit on the soft side. It feels a lot more like a shoe rubber compound rather than a boot. So let's see what this tests on the durometer. 55 Shore A, so a little bit on the soft side, which is good for the comfort and squish, but it's just not as good for the longevity of an outsole. Next to the midsole, which is the layer between the outsole and the insole, it looks like it's a cork layer because you can see it on the outside here, which makes a lot of sense because Birkenstock is known for their love and use of cork. So the fact that there's cork in the insole and in the midsole isn't too shocking. And I actually like it because it compresses to the shape of your foot. And then finally to the fit, feel, and look. So these do have a pretty wide toe box, which people are going to love. And they have that mountaineering style that a lot of people are liking these days. And they do have like a little bit lower heel, which some people are gonna like. They look almost identical to the gym green boots that we've cut apart before. Now that we've covered all that, there's a lot of questions left to be answered. So let's cut this thing in half. Okay, we got it cut in half. Let's see what's inside. It's all a sham. This cork layer on the outside is not even real. It doesn't go through even to the inside. It's actually just a decorative piece. And to me, it seems like they're trying to make this boot look like it's higher quality when it's clearly not, because that cork doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything other than make you think that there's a cork layer. Just like the Goodyear welt, that's clearly a fake Goodyear welt. There's no stitching holding this boot together. It's all just glued together, which is not good for the longevity and durability of these boots because a little layer of glue is never gonna be as strong as a stitched line wrapping all the way around the boot. But at least there's a shank, right? Well, let's see how strong this shank actually is. So that was not too hard to bend. There might as well not be a shank in this boot because any support and structure you get from a shank is clearly useless, because if you put any bend in this shank on accident, you're gonna either boat out your boot like this or you're gonna cause a high spot at the arch. So once again, it's just the appearance of quality. And for $220 to just have a single layer of cheap cardboard and a really cheap layer of fiberboard building up the structure of the inside of the boot is really disappointing. But to me, the real question with any cemented boot is how well are they cemented together. So let's just try ripping out maybe like the insole layer first. Oof, not great. And then with this half of the boot, I'm gonna try to tear the upper off of the outsole and see what happens. Okay, so at least I can get it to kind of start separating pretty easily, but then once it's actually glued to that outsole, it's pretty well bonded on there. So will these boots fail on you after the first week? Probably not, but also maybe, because you just don't know with cemented construction. As for the long-term durability of these, I would just way rather trust a stitched Goodyear welt construction or stitched down construction and the glue that's in those as well, rather than just glue, especially for $220. So with all the cheap materials and all the deceptive features posing as premium when they're really just decorative, these boots are built more similarly to like those $100 and under boots than the other $200 boots that we've seen on the channel. If these boots were $120, I wouldn't really have any issue with them, but for $100 more, you definitely do not get $100 more quality out of these things. And if you like this style of boot, you can get a gym green boot that is almost identical, that has a lot hardier materials in it and a lot better construction, and it has a stitched and a glued construction. So to me, Birkenstock, you're busted. These boots are hot garbage, and I think Birkenstock knows that they're using their good name to sell a subpar product for a lot higher price than what it should be sold for. And I think they should be embarrassed, because these brands keep pouring out their good name to increase margins on a terrible product. And I would not recommend buying these boots. So if you think I'm wrong, prove me wrong, because I'm pretty confident in saying that these are significantly, probably, maybe not quite as overpriced as the Uggs that we just cut in half, but these are really bad. So let me know what you guys think, and thank you for watching. Avoid these boots, and if you have a pair of these, let me know your experience with them and what you thought of them. And I really wish these were cheaper, because this is a really cool idea of being able to add arch support and everything to your boots, but they're $60 to $80 for an insole. It's kind of crazy, but anyway, see you guys.